Okay. As I'm sure I mentioned sometime during this whole thing, we did lose the eviction fight, so we were getting booted. But apparently, they surprised and in court. The opposing counsel said we're willing to offer them help to relocate. It's like, gee, that would have been nice to hear about we could earlier when before I start calling the VA hotline about suicide prevention because you're feeling backed into a damn corner. And I think someone realized, we are a housing authority. We can't just boot them out. We have to find somewhere else. So, going with that assumption, which I think is pretty sound, because assisting with us relocating cannot just consist of a fruit basket and say bye. I've sent them some options of other properties that they manage. But so, okay, these would work nicely. There's a few others. There's one of them. It's not my first choice, but Steph likes it. It actually has an ensuite laundry facility. So okay, I'll think about it. But it's quite out in Golden. But another unboxing here. Trying to make the best of a bad situation by getting some Grail items out of the way. Yesterday was the West End Enterprise toy back there. One day I'm gonna get that cleaned up, but the only thing it might be the battery's a little low, but it's supposed to light up, but it does make the noise. So I just gotta find a stand for that. But this one should have been here yesterday, but got delayed a bit, so it's here now. And this better actually, because the last time I did a live unboxing of model, it turns out it was the wrong damn ship. But this one should not be any big surprises. All right, and yes, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first issue of the Refit Enterprise, the motion picture version. This one came in a little cheap because no lights. I don't care. I'm going to be doing some things with this anyway, as far as lights go. Mainly, I happen to have somewhere the bits and bobs for one of the there's like lights and sound Enterprise with the kit and the sound trip and all that, which also has a deflector dish with the transfer bar so you can light it up. So I'm going to swap that out in here. But let's get through here. Through all the styrofoam peanuts. But yes, they serve a purpose, but they're a pain in the ass when they get to the destination. Talk about your static Klingons. Okay, now. Yes. And notice, no Aztecing, smoother than Android's bottom. Okay. There. Some people, for those who still don't quite understand, why don't they just put out the when they did the Aztecing on there, the way they did it involved cutting into the mold, thus ruining the mold. You can't go back. You're removing material from the mold. It's kind of like when they decided to do a original Enterprise without the deflector grid. That meant they had to actually cut into the mold slightly to, because that was also the deflector grid was cut into the mold to make it a raised. It's the mold is a negative of what it comes out as. So, like in order to have a raised detail, you have to cut into the mold. So to get that smooth, they can't just fill it in. They'd have in order to get a smooth hulled enterprise, original enterprise, without the deflector, smooth hulled, without the options was either do whole new molds or cut out more material so it all levels out. And the result is you got a much thicker hull now, which is real fun because those sprues are like tree trunks now. It's one sticking point I have with the current reissue of the original Enterprise. Is that they never fixed it. And okay. They didn't really fix the issue at hand. They just created another one. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. We'll deal with peanuts. Oh. Window segment. First, found this kit. It was a Woolco back in the day. Became a few other things. Eventually turned into a Walmart. After the 2 or 3 things. Decals. Says on here. Take a look at that in a minute. Anything else in here I need to know about besides the damn notes? Nope. Piece of paper. All right. Let's. Up. And I'll put that there. We have a hatch on the back of the bridge dome. All right. Now, get this a little more reasonable. I don't need a bubble wrap either. It did come very well timed. So I will give him that. Mr. Norman Richo, Phoenix, Arizona. Good job, but a little overkill with the peanuts. All right. Balance, I'll deal with that later because I'm going to deal with a ton of trash out there anyway. All right. I'm trying to throw a spiral with a feather, you know? These up here. Shit. All right, through. All right, in the box. Be secure in the box. I mean, it fell down. A few things fell down. Ah, dang it. All right. What's this? That's to another model. I better not lose that. Something else, I think. In there for now. Okay. Let's take a look at these decals. What they say, I think this is supposed to be the original rub-on decals, which will not be used. God knows this day and age we got plenty of options for decals for this particular model. These were quite the thing back then. Ooh, rub-on decals. Nice. The problem is, you're doing decals on a model. You damn well better make sure. Oh, they even got the propaganda here too. Looking for posters you had. It's not just the decals. But And here's the directions in case I forget how to do this. All right. Okay, a couple of things here. Some mylar, things for the engines and the engine, the nacelle grills, photon torpedo, and the impulse engines. And then, and this is remarkable just because of the fact that they haven't been used. It's pristine. Yeah, these will not be changed. This is going to stay in here because also you got to make damn sure you're in, the Enterprise is not. They're part of the name. It's not quite there, but again, they're not being used anyway. But you got to make sure you are right where you need to be because you ain't pulling this off. They're on there. They're on to stay. Now, I use these a lot also in the Air Force because they're for a different thing from laying down graphics and something. But this is interesting. Yeah, those are staying. I'll get other decals for that bad boy. Yeah. But I'm thinking it will still be. I'll keep it as the Enterprise. I might as well put all this stuff back in here. But yeah, this is kind of neat. Oh, come on, get in there. Get in the. I got to reverse engineer the packaging here. Look at this. There. I also don't think we're going to be using the Mylar things either, so we're going back in. Keep the directions out. There might be an item or two I need to reminder on. Let's see. Get in the bag. There we go. So we'll keep that as is there. But yeah, there are no lights though, and I think it probably also doesn't have the battery tray anyways. It's fine. But again, I got a lights and sound version of the kit with all the things, so I run the lights through that and swap out the deflector dish, and it'll be fine. And again, just getting this kit. I've seen kits in worse condition than this go for more, so I'm not complaining. I think maybe all told, maybe $60, which still comes in a little cheaper than the new repop version of the kit, so, with that stupid Aztec pattern they have. Okay, let me get the link and throw this at Rob Burnett. He might want to, if he's available. If he's not doing all his own streams. I should take a look though and see. Is he streaming? He usually is on Saturday. Yep. Well, here we go. I don't see him on my live feed. Let me see. So if he's not streaming or is otherwise in, you never know. He might just pop in, so don't be surprised. So, we'll put this off to the side, check it out later. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he's on right now, so it's possible there's an opportunity. Mine's not somewhere else. I think. I'm wrapping up my tenure at this place with a couple of rails. Kind of brings them on. Happy talking. Also, mournful thing about it. We thought we were buddies, and then we go away. We made this is Star Trek to be gone forever. And so they're trying, and there's now a petition going to uncancel Star Trek. They got 10,000 people. They're trying to gin up some kind of fan revolt. They want to get the fan, oh, come to our rescue like you did the original show. The original show was good. The original show was worth rescuing. The fans are the reason why you're canceled because we didn't show up because you're crap. Okay, you got that, Kurtzman? You're trying to suck up to the wrong crowd. You denigrate us, call us racist, Nazis, homophobes, whatever, and now you want our help? Now you want to try to, and you're inside, and you're going back and citing Roddenberry? Yeah, the thing, by the way, Shatner, no, he didn't write that post. He's got some guy named Paul who manages his Twitter account. Shatner doesn't write most of that shit. And he may just not be aware of you're putting my name to what? I'm so sad that people get, you know how many canceled series I've had on my, including Star Trek, you twit. No, the Kurtzman's, PR machine is trying to gin up support. No, please, I like my contract, please. I want to stay hired. Fuck you. Every other franchise that's had a name attached has died horribly. Remember Universal's Dark Universe they're planning on doing? Killed it in one movie. Who directed that one movie? Alex Kurtzman. I remember a little show, Clarice, trying to do a spin-off, from Silence of the Lambs. That was Kurtzman's idea, and that's what people. I think it was Entertainment Weekly. The man is an IP locust. Okay, he moves from franchise to franchise and kills them. And is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro, and that was also Kurtzman. Okay, Star Trek is the only closest thing to a stable career he's had. And he was behind Hawaii 5-0, but he had people on on that show to keep him honest, and tell him when to go pound sand. Still almost got him in trouble though because there was they were doing a shoot out at the Punch Bowl, it was a military cemetery. And they were shooting a scene out there, but it was at the same time, some veterans were doing a ceremony out there. And rather than doing the smart thing and accommodate the veteran, no, he tried to get the veterans to back up. Okay, we're trying to shoot here. Fuck you! Military ceremony. You're a Hollywood douchebag. Go fuck yourself. He damn near got the entire production shut down. Completely. As in, you're canceled. Yeah, the other guys, man, come around. We're sorry. Kurtzman's an idiot. We know he's an idiot. Sorry, it won't happen again. And not every latter day Star Trek production that has garnered any kind of fan appreciation and loyalty has been the ones where he's had nothing to do with it. Lower Decks got a connection with things because he had nothing to do with it. They got, Mike McMahon said, no, they don't send us any notes. There's a couple of questions here and there, but they don't tell us how to do it. He had nothing to do with creative with that show, and it worked. It's not everyone's cup of tea. People don't like the humor and the rap, the thing. And the thing about, it's all references. Yeah, but it's references done right. It's references that make sense, that are correctly cited. It's not just name dropping. It's not pulling out the Delta Vega as a planet and then using it and turn it into an ice planet. When before it was, looked like southern Utah.
Have to wonder, honey.
Mm-hmm. They're not just pulling names off of Memory Alpha. That's usually the reference is there's a meaning to it in the story.
What about that urban legend that he
and there's actually
fit over one of Tupac's videos?
yeah, and there's actually character development in Lower Decks. Beckett Mariner has a character arc. You find, she starts off as an obnoxious asshole. It's like, why would they? And you find out as you go on why she's this way. And even Boimler, and then hell, Billups is a freaking character arc, and he's a minor character. Any character they got screen time, and hell, Jennifer's got a bit of an arc there. Characters major and minor get development on that cartoon. And it's also very much, these people love, they are all actual Star Trek fans. They love doing Star Trek. They're having fun doing Star Trek. And they bring it in, they got George Takei to do a voice in there. They get, Jeffrey Combs. They do something. They bring these guys back. And it's also shown more love to the animated series than anything. You remember those very short treks they did for a while? That just, you don't know what the hell you do. Like only one or two of them were any good. The rest of them were shit on a stick. But there's been more love for the animated series on Lower Decks than anything, because they even brought in the 40-foot tall Spock from the Infinite Vulcan, the skeleton at least. You had Nadoan as running the ship here. The efficiency guide was, the same race as Bem. It's like, when the Cerritos is fighting with some alien over an old freighter, it's one from the animated series. So, and Prodigy, for the most part, they were left alone, and that show got good. Where it falls off the rails at the very end, where they made them connect up with the synth uprising on Mars, which we got from Picard. And you wonder why interest has dropped off a cliff, because you just killed that show with that one instance. If you could excise that bit from it, then yeah, that show would have a future. But that one connection there, that is Prodigy's season 8 Game of Thrones, where the whole thing just goes to shit and that's it, done. What doesn't help is Robert Picardo's behavior. I bet of late he's been doing this all along, just no one's noticed till now. Now everything is like, you're just a hater. That's like, Bob, you really need to check. You need to learn how to read the room, okay? That's about, he's been an actor. I've been with this franchise really since it came on the air. I was watching it as a toddler with my dad on NBC. Yeah, I've gone on this thing over and over, but some people don't. I have no first experience with Star Trek. It's always been there for me. When I got my first model, it wasn't a matter, oh, what's that? That looks neat. No, hey, it's the Enterprise. It's Star Trek. I want it. Animated series premiered. That wasn't the first. I knew that wasn't the first time. I knew there was a live action version. When the syndication finally hit here on a consistent basis, yeah, I was up for it. I mean, it had been caught it once or twice, like on Channel 9 Saturday afternoons. They were just kind of shuffling around, and I was caught it in the middle of an episode, so I could never really get much into it. But I'm gonna do something. I'm getting Beethoven here. All right. So don't tell me, and they always pull this one quote from Roddenberry's lectures in the mid '70s. Where it's saying, if we cannot, If we do not learn to appreciate, the diversity on this planet, amongst our own kind, or take a positive delight in it, then we don't deserve to go into space and see the diversity almost certainly out there. They pulled that one portion of it, mainly because it's been quoted and put on the picture with Roddenberry and everything. It's still not the entire quote, but that lecture is on kind of broken up a bit, but it's largely on the Inside Star Trek album from '76. And so you think you're going to tell me I was at Mendico Sports Arena when he was doing that? Okay, I heard that lecture myself from the man himself. Okay, and it goes on. It's part of a big long thing of not just. It's about why Star Trek it became a phenomenon, and how any attempt to manipulate audiences into thing into some kind of via some kind of Star Trek formula is doomed to failure, because the magic is not in the show or the production stuff; it's in the audience. Don't try and play a player, in other words, okay? We know what is right on this thing, and like I said, you try and invoke Roddenberry after all this time and all this. And Kurtzman's thing at the Saturday was everyone from top to bottom loves Star Trek. That's something that Paul Chatto called out. He knows people who worked there, and he made a point. You showed any affection in previous shows, you were fired on the spot. So let's establish one thing right off. Kurtzman's a fucking liar. He's a lion sack of shit. He's a petty little fuck. That whole thing about going back to the first JJ Trek movie, and how in preparation for it and in designing the new ship, Jeff Mandel had just a comparison diagram of the new ship and the original ship. Wasn't advocating anything, just saying this is the difference here. He was fired on the spot. Guess we're having that picture in his office. John Eves I'm not saying shit. I like being paid. So he's kept his mouth shut on that. And can't fault him on that. But I would not be surprised if Kurtzman had a hand in that, because he was in on that. But they got some warped idea. Oh, it's always been political. Star Trek has been political, but it was not created to be a political rant fest. Okay, it did it on occasion where it made, but it's also a lot of just having a romp, just telling intelligent sci-fi stories to an intelligent audience. Because science fiction on television at that point had been kiddie stuff. Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Land of the Giants. Rocky Jones, Space Ranger, Captain Video. That was science fiction at the time Star Trek came out. And Roddenberry had been into sci-fi quite a bit, and he knew about, that we could do so much more, and again, it kind of, an adult science fiction that kind of brings, but grown up, okay, mature, not pandering, or in some of the notes that no smart ass kids or wisecracking robots. Direct shot of Lost in Space. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think Rob is streaming today, because I generally get notices about that, because I'm a channel member. Memberships are available on this channel, by the way. It would help a little bit. It's better than nothing. And maybe a couple of bucks a month, but it's better than nothing. But So yeah, you think you're going to try and enlist the fans to come to the rescue? No, same start because it's trying to think of attitude. Some people, oh, bad truck's better than no truck. No, 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 my sweet summer child. We've been through periods where there was no Star Trek coming out. You know what we did? We made our own fanzines, fan films, building these models, creating the costumes, doing the, putting on little plays. Let's go. So no, don't try and frighten us. Don't threaten us with a good time. Oh, you're not doing it anymore? Well, I guess we can go back to doing our fan films again. They're standing sets in Sandusky, Ohio, ready for operation. I think they're all up and running by now. At Sandusky Mall, that's where the Star Trek Continue sets are. I think you might be able to make arrangements for occasionally the sets at Ticonderoga. You can schedule it right. They might even let you do that. Do there. There's also a bunch of Little Rock that have the old Starship Exeter sets. What's that?
The Ticonderoga set. Aren't those more of a museum?
Well, yeah, it's a licensed tour, but I think if you talk nice, James might let you, use them for a few hours. That is also going to be, the I don't know, permanent home, or at least, pretty damn near permanent home of the Galileo shuttlecraft mock-up. They're doing a fundraiser to make it a hangar enclosure. Okay. But the shuttle's up there. God willing, we'll be able to get up there ourselves in September when they do the big reveal. Because I know Bijo's supposed to be there. We get to hook up where we can.
Where?
Ticonderoga. It's September.
No fucking way am I flying over.
No. It'll be, by then we get a car that can do that kind of thing. You get most of the way there on I-70. But that is something, this is just a loop. A couple girls, power washing a SUV. But Elizabeth Banks being a twat waffle. Okay. Nothing surprising. But yeah. Because they seem to think, hooked on the diversity. Yeah. There was much more to Star Trek than just diversity. And besides, you try and preach diversity to Star Trek fans. Star Trek practically invented the concept of diversity in televised science fiction. Okay. Don't try and tell us our own show. Okay. And frankly, that one gal who played the half Klingon, half Jem'Hadar thing, getting right, and not whitewashed, getting right in the face. You want a piece of me, bitch? Seriously? You're gonna pull that shit on me? Fuck you. Okay. Fuck you and your Jem'Hadar heritage. Like, fuck you up the ass with it. Okay. Don't even try that shit with me. I'm not in the mood for it. Okay. So, it's the best season of Star Trek ever. Meanwhile, in the same passage, in the same clip, saying she was not even familiar with Star Trek before coming on. Then you don't know what the hell a good season of Star Trek looks like. If you think the shit you put out is decent, go watch the actual show. The original series first season stands up better than anything you put out. Even with the original effects, go watch that. Okay? Then come back to me and tell you that your shit was anywhere close to that, anything, did back then. Because I'll tell you what, that was written and produced by people who actually lived lives. Actually had some life experience coming into it. Seasoned science fiction writers wrote those episodes. World War II veterans wrote and produced, and you guys just starred in them. Jimmy Doohan was a hero on D-Day. And again, it's run through it. Gene Roddenberry, B-17 pilot in the Pacific. Matt Jeffries, a B-17 engineer in Europe. Now, maybe not a pilot, but I think mainly was engineer. Bob Justin was in the Navy. Gene Kuhn was in the Marines and the Army. He was in the Marines for sure, I think in Korea. Yeah. Leonard Nimoy and Dee Keller were both in the Army. I think they made films though. Walter Koenig went through ROTC. And then, of course, you got George Takei, who as a child was in the internment camps. So you got both sides of it here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right, now less said about George Takei, the better right now. But that's another one. It's like, better you kept your fat mouth shut, George, okay? Nobody cares you're gay, okay? Yeah. Like, day late and a dollar short. Oh, he's gay. That's nice. Move on. But don't even try and say, oh, this was the best stuff. It was horrible, okay? And let's get real. The reason why your show was canceled is not because of right-wing thugs like me and John De La Rose pug bomb. It's because nobody's fucking watching. You had no audience. You could barely crack the top 10 on your own fucking streaming service the day the thing premiered. Pretty soon you couldn't even do that. The episode drops. It doesn't even show up on Paramount Plus at all. And, of course, the now legendary debacle of it drops for free on premieres on YouTube for free. And what beats it out? A Spock action figure on a chair doing nothing. It draws 3 times the audience. It's just sitting there on Gary Beekler's chair. Like, come on. Who are you trying to fool here? Let's say, there's new audience. Guess what? You only get new fans because old fans like us bring them in. Or the question I've been asking for 20-some years now. Who's going to watch a Star Trek show that even Star Trek fans don't like? That's not a draw. That's not a winning strategy. Because the thing is, what are they going to, who's not familiar with Star Trek, what are they going to do about a new show coming out? They're going to contact somebody they know is a Star Trek fan. They're going to contact someone like me. Hey, I heard a new Star Trek. Is it any good? No, it sucks. People are idiots. These guys wouldn't know a photon torpedo from a tribble. Okay? That's nothing. When they did that little tribble thing for the short treks, and they thought it'd be, they mixed in human DNA. And somehow this produces the proclivity. Adding DNA from a being that gestation is 9 months. That doesn't sound like an improvement. That sounds like someone who doesn't know fucking hell of biology at all. If they had said something like they mix it in with rabbit, okay, I could follow the logic. It'd still be wrong. Because even rabbits don't breathe that fast. And the thing, there was no need for that. Just say it's a part of what they naturally do. The tribbles breed fast because they're creatures on their planet. They eat them like, like hotcakes. But then they're going to make cute. And, oh, well, it's because it was genetically manipulated. No, because they fucking breed fast. Why can't you leave well enough alone, fucktards? These idiots don't you? No, we're alive. I can say it now. These jackasses would fuck up a wet dream. Okay. And so, trying to get the fans to come to the rescue and trying to get you in Star Trek Year One. That's the way to go. We got the Cessna. No! Fuck no! Don't you even think you're going to go and touch anywhere close. You've done enough damage as it is with Strange New Worlds, if that's allowed to stand. You think you're actually going to bring Captain Kirk into this? Fuck you! Don't even threaten that one. No. And they're going to try. Oh, where'd Paramount? No, you got fans writing Paramount. Don't you even think about greenlighting this? I saw one, the poll on X about what to do with season 2 of Discovery. 86% Batgirl it. Those who get the reference, Warner Brothers had the Batgirl movie virtually finished. All those left were maybe some scoring and generating the credits. They pulled the plug on it. It's never going to see the light of day. That's what fans want to be done with Academy. Gone. Don't care. Not going to watch it. Use the server space for something else. Extra seasons of SpongeBob SquarePants. Anything. Just no. You'll be putting something there that no one's going to watch. I think even a lot of the reviewers have checked out. That's why originally the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes was like 43%. It picked up to 51%. I think because most of the people had checked out by then. All that was left was the mouth breathing, sycophants. Trying to review and thinking the reviews, the positive were just, oh, it's great, keep it, and nothing of substance. Even the initial professional reviews that gave it that 86% critic score, it was pretty clear from their reviews that they didn't watch past the first episode. And the first 2 episodes dropped together. They didn't watch past the first episode. We're not even sure they watched the entire first episode. That's where it's access media. They want to, suck up to Paramount so they can still get access to these things and, keep the things going. That's why I don't come out too hard on truck culture. They want to get those interviews, So they want to, so they got to play nice. I'm not in that position. I don't have to play nice. I can call it see it. Now they see it. Star Trek Academy sucks. It was an idiotic show with a stupid premise, mishandled. One, they totally misread the thing of what Starfleet is all about. That's what they said was not Starfleet Academy. That was a special ed school. Everyone's got some kind of trauma or special issue. And I think I swallowed my comm badge. Oh, really? Why did you look at that comm badge? How the hell could a human being swallow that and not be sure? That would do major internal damage just trying to get it in, I think I swallowed my comm badge. You think? What the hell are you doing at a major, the military academy? These are supposed to be future officers commanding starships, leading missions and stuff. But this was, Hollywood's version of what they think autistic neurodivergent people are. Overweight little fucktards who swallow things. They're, holographic life form tries to eat the potting soil of the plants. There, like, what? One, okay. She's a hologram. She doesn't eat. What the hell is she doing trying to stick her tongue in this blue potting soil? What's she expect to do? Because there's no taste buds there. They were so consistent just with that character. Like forgetting she's a hologram. One, why would you program a hologram to be that emotionally unstable and just say retarded? Okay. Oh God. I used to like Holly Hunter. She showed more command presence in Raising Arizona. When Ed comes out of that car and telling, text Cobb, give me that baby. Give me that baby, you warthog from hell. And it's like, yeah, she meant business and you knew it. I don't think she could deliver that line now with any amount of credibility. Certainly not that character. Hell, even that congressman character she played in the Batman v Superman thing had more presence. Paul Giamatti was just glad to be paid and chew the scenery. Anytime I'm sure the actors had all kinds of fun. That doesn't translate to the material being any good. Because something like that, a lot of actors, their dream is, because usually you're trying to, that sort of thing, and the director says, reel it in a bit. Just when clearly in this case, the director says, oh, bring him more, chew on, bigger, yes. And these writers trying to imitate Joss Whedon with weird little quips and making up phrases, and they think they're being clever. But you're being stupid. Only one writer should write like Joss Whedon. That's Joss Whedon. Because Joss knows when to wheel it in. Okay, reel it in. He knows when to make the wisecracks and when to be serious. Go back and watch Firefly. Or Serenity. Especially in Serenity when Mal just like, that's it, we're going to war. There's no wisecracks when he pulls his gun and say, okay, this is your port of call. If you don't want to follow me, if you either helping me or not stepping out, then I will shoot you down here. Get to work. It's like, now, one thing might help is you look at the blooper reels that he comes on, the whole thing about where he's telling okay, we need to get a bunch of and find that one kid. We need to hone around. And Jay, stop stealing the shit. It's like, break the mood a little bit on set. But like the final scene in the movie though that was chilling. Okay, Josh knows when to be the wise ass and when to be this is serious. This is where everything. Then there's part of the thing of why certain characters died. He said, "Want to make the impression? This could be a Wild Bunch situation. They all might go down. Nobody's safe here." Okay. Wash just had a tree trunk shoved through his hat, through the midsection. There's no coming back from that. We watched Shepherd Book hold on there, but it's like. And again, we get a real good line there. I don't care what you believe, Mal. Just believe it. Yeah. None of this wishy-washy shit around. Yeah. And that's also, dovetailing quick over to Fireflies. If you want to get any legs in this thing, you better get Joss involved in there somehow. Not necessarily showrunner in control, but get him in there as some kind of creative consultant or creative control over it. Get Tim Minear and some of the other writers who actually worked on it. Don't rely on these guys you got because they're a little sus. Okay. Serious TDS sufferers. Okay, and they tried going political on it. I'd like to think that Nathan Fillion, who reportedly is a bit on the right-leaning side, can keep them back in check. And no, we're not doing that. Go back to Star Trek. No. There were celebrations going on when the announcement came down that show was finally canceled. We have been trying, my channel now has been trying to do kind of a death watch. When is this contract finally going to end and we can get rid of this idiot? Biggest video I ever had was when I put out, well, that's about it for them. And that was unfortunately a bunch of years ago. When Discovery did something stupid. It's like, that's it. This show's done. Now I need to go back and look at it and see, okay, what did I actually say there? But it's kind of like, in a conventional world, it was like, this should be the end of it. Unfortunately, we're not in a conventional world. Okay? It's a streaming world where numbers can be fudged and viewer ratings can be ignored for the most part because you're putting out content for the service. And at that point, it was just, one little weirdo show, Discovery, versus you had a whole back catalog that was still going, keeping the thing afloat. But that is worn on now. And again, it's now to the point where the current product is dragging the entire brand down. And I think I was watching a video earlier of why did they even greenlight a season 2 of Discovery in the first place before they had any audience and nothing had aired yet. I'm not sure they even really started production much on Academy at that point. They just started production. They already get greenlit for nothing. It was partially to amortize the cost of the show over multiple seasons, but also California tax credits required there to be more than one season. That was not just quick, boom, and gone. So they had to do at least a minimum of 2 seasons in order to get those tax credits. So a lot of this driving this stuff, it's like, although I think I should check it because this show was mainly filmed in Canada. So maybe it's just for their production companies. The production companies in LA. And I guess maybe a lot of post-production stuff because the principal was up in Canada, though. But they really need to. I'll check on that. I someone find out. If did they film Academy in Canada along with Strange New Worlds? I should check that. Hold on. Let's do a Google.
Ooh.
Where was Starfleet Academy filmed? Yeah, it was at Pinewood, Toronto.
Oh. Oh. Ow.
Yeah, it's only primarily in Ontario. Yeah. But yeah, I think the thing, it was probably for the production office, though, that they were claim the credit, even though they're filming all in Canada.
Oh, fucking hell. Ow.
But other factors besides creative energies have been feeling this. It's all been going to bean counters. It's okay. We can keep this thing on, and Kurt's been continuing to be paid, despite the fact he's been churning out crappy show after crappy show, driving away the established fans in pursuit of a mythical new audience that does not exist. All these productions have been bastardized beyond recognition, from Marvel to Star Wars to Star Trek, Doctor Who, all for this new mythical new audience that's going to come in and say them, and they don't exist. They've never existed. Not in any numbers that are worth a crap. And in the process, alienating their established fan base. And this is what happens. You drive off the old fans, guess what? You got no fans. Because we're not bringing in the new ones. And that kind of goes with the Doctor Who. Dave Cullen's best, the same idea Dave Cullen had. Like, they want to save Doctor Who, really save it, rewind everything back to when Peter Capaldi regenerated. And instead of regenerating into Jodie Whittaker, regenerated into like Michael Sheen. That's my vote. But somebody else. Break off that from that point on, gone. You can call it an alternate timeline or whatever, but no. Start over from that point on. It's a time travel show. It can go anywhere from that point on and they'd still be current. But that entire thing, Chibnall era onward, and the mistake of thinking Russell T Davies could save the day. It's like, nope, he's not the same guy he was in 2005. He's gone hardcore activist and he will drag everything down just to make it gay. You know. And, you know, best thing would be, you know, if you could coax back Stephen Moffat, he knows how the show operates. He knows what the character's like and how it works. But they so bastardized his efforts. And like, no, I don't think you could pay him enough to come back and go through that again. You have to put so many guarantees on. Say, okay, you run the show as you see fit. We will say nothing. And that actually is not out of the realm possibility because the new head of the BBC is a Doctor Who fan. So that I would not put that beyond the realm possibility. That he at least get Stephen Moffat back as some kind of, and you bring in people who know and understand the original show. And I'm not just saying, you know, classic, because it was a Q&A with Moffat and they're showing bits, you know, from throughout the years and talking about, if you take it from Survival, which was the last Sylvester McCoy thing, to Rose, it's the same show. That was the point. You don't know what happened between, but it's the same show. They're essentially picking up where they left off. And I think the Pandorica speech is a good indicator. Because that speech you can put in the mouth of any of the doctors and it works. Except I don't think it would work with Jodie Whittaker. I'm also not sure it would work with Ncuti Gatwa too well either. That I can't see him putting that sort of thing. But the rest of the doctors, you know, from Hartnell on through to Matt Smith, and even I like Peter Capaldi, he'd eat that up. I would like to, because I did hear a thing, I don't know if it was actually Tom Baker or somebody else, but that is one thing I like to have him take a run at, but also a little direction. Because the thing starts off, hello, Stonehenge. It's like, only with the Baker version I heard is, hello, Stonehenge. No, you're not talking to a child. Okay, Tom, the setting is this. You're at Stonehenge. You're like at Glastonbury. You're on the big stage at Glastonbury. That's the neat way to treat it. You got the every enemy you ever known or ever will know up in the skies, ready to bomb down on. You're the lead attraction. Hello, Stonehenge. And you take it from there. You're commanding everyone. Every eye is on you. And so the whole thing, every nasty deed, where do I shoot? You sit by and say yourself this: let someone else go first. That'll get me talking for a while. Because too many of the readings I heard on that with other doctors or the invitations of other doctors, that's the thing they missed. That's something that Matt Smith got. Because in the moment, he's there, the spotlight's on him, middle of the recreation of Stonehenge. Maybe at Stonehenge. With the microphone, hello, Stonehenge. And especially think, well, I know you're supposed to talk, but I am talking. you know. There's nothing with the Tom Baker version. Her like, no, we need the surly, the snarling Tom Baker, the one who does not tolerate or interruptions. Okay, that's the attitude I want. you know. But yeah, I'm getting far afield here, so that's about it. So yeah, so I got that Grail item out of the way, along with the other one back there. You can see, top of the thing. And I think we'll wrap that up for now. I'll probably be on later with the Fortnite stream. Somebody's saying hi. Okay. Okay. Then I'll be firing up Fortnite later for stream. Tomorrow, reasonably sure we'll do the Knights of the Anime Table stream. Because I think we seem to be getting to the pattern of 1 week on, 1 week off, because everyone's getting a little beat up. But we'll be back on later. I'm probably gonna I'm gonna just put the boxes up, and put it away for a while, and hold off any major work until we get to our new place, wherever that may be. We got a few options that are actually bigger than what we got now, but it's a matter of how much help they're actually going to offer to relocate us. Maybe it's a matter of did the landlords know the lawyer was going to offer this, or what? So we'll find out. It's early days. We just found out Thursday that this whole thing went down, and I know the front office is basically closed on Friday. So I emailed them on Thursday. Okay, you're supposed to be helping us relocate. So here's some of the properties we're looking at for there, and get back with we'll find out. We're not quite dead yet, but we're definitely taking on water. We'll talk at you later.